Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use dual head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun.
Funny things about buying a rare car is that someone else who also has a rare car offers you theirs for filming. One automatic, one manual. This is a 1999 Volvo C70 T5 Coupé with a manual gearbox. It actually has quite a few differences from the 1998 automatic, which I have. Some of which are not actually standard to the car. For example, this car's actually got the facelifted Mark 1 C70 front and rear lights. They only came on the cabriolet models from about 2003, but they do actually improve the light output a bit. The headlamps on mine are not the best. I've also got a different grille on this with the blue Volvo badge, which is characteristic of the later cars. Mine has a black badge on it. These wheels actually aren't the standard colour either. They weren't very well painted by the previous owner, so they don't look great. But the overall car is pretty good. This car's done about 200,000 miles, and you wouldn't really tell from looking at it on the outside at all. In fact, actually, the bumper's a lot better on the back than mine is, significantly better. This colour, by the way, is called saffron. It was one of the original colours for this car, and it looks great. The exhaust on this car is also slightly different from mine. I don't know why that is. Someone's obviously changed it at some point. But otherwise it's quite similar. It's not the GT model. Mine is a GT. This is not. So we haven't got quite the same level of specification inside. But a lot of you will prefer this colour combination to the one I've got, the Cassis Pearl Metallic with beige leather and Alcantara interior and wood. This car's actually had the wood removed from it and changed for some kind of metal effect finishes that are off. I think it's of a V70 or something, because the V70 P1 dashboard is very similar to one of these. There we go, 5-speed manual. Still a T5 though. These cars are really rare actually. We think there are 29 C70 T5 coupes left of the Mark 1 variety. Obviously the Mark 2 C70 was a sort of coupe cabriolet on a Ford platform. This is on the Volvo P80 platform, which is shared with the 850, the S70 and the Mark 1 V70. So got very comfortable seats for manual, and this actually is off a very late Mark 1 C70 with steering wheel. It's off a cabrio version. It's not the original one. Weirdly, mine also has this problem where the top of the cowling on the steering column is actually slightly loose. We've also got some changes in here. For example, this STC button replaces the sort of, I think it's called tracks in the earlier car. One of the reasons for that is because this car's got an electronic throttle and mine's got a cable throttle. That changed in about 99. So the engine bay actually underneath looks a bit different. We've still got the Dolby Logic system in here. SC901, same stereo, which has the sort of jolly bit with the CD player. I'll have a look at that in a bit. Full leather in here for black leather and the sunroof. I have to ask Mr. Atkinson, who owns this car, if I can use that sunroof, because I don't know if it actually works. Yeah, very nice feeling 5-speed manual. It's going to be fun. We've also got cruise control. That apparently works, which is good. Heated mirrors and heated rear window. Heated seats are down here. There are the remote releases for the fuel filler. flap and also the boot. One shot driver's window, electric mirrors. To sort of got a little bit of something going on there. Didn't quite know about that. Bear in mind this car has done almost double the mileage of mine. It's not surprising if it's got little things like that. But the seats have worn really well in this. My goodness me, that's really good actually. Do we have damping on the grab handles? No, we do not. We've actually got one on this side though, which is just remarkable. Right, I'll just pause here whilst I turn the ignition on, and we'll see if we've got any differences on the dash. So we actually do have a few differences on the dash. The fuel gauge, for some bizarre reason, is actually slightly different. It's on mine it says 70 right at the top. This doesn't say that, it just says max. I don't know why they bothered to change it. It doesn't really make any sense, but there we go. This is all the same, although the panel on here is a different colour. This sort of metal effect is quite nice actually. I know that my supervision documents don't go in their views because I own one of these cars, so I won't bother with that. One thing I neglected to put on my review initially was the fact we've got cup holders here. They're not the best cup holders ever, but they're there. And we've still got the flashing seatbelt reminder. There's the central cubby with the OBD2 port. Other than that, it's pretty standard. It's pretty normal. One thing I've noticed is that fog light switches are really strange. So this one goes like this, and this one goes like that. I have no idea why that is. Headlamp levelling there, also really weird on these cars, and this is standard Volvo for this era. The intermittent wipe is actually at the top. It's not down. So the off position is one down from the top rather than at the top, which is, I think, is a little bit weird, but apparently that's a Volvo thing. Right, let's see if we can get into back, viewers, and get rid of this annoying noise. Okay, this is going to be a quicker process than in my car because it's a manual seat. Oh, hang on. Why is that not moving? Hold on a second, please. Okay, it is possible to put the seats forward just using that lever. You have to use an awful lot of force to do it. And when you want to put it back, it doesn't actually go back into the same position. You have to sort of manually use that bar there. So it's not as convenient as the electric one, although that's really slow. Oh gosh. Oh, oh dear. Yeah, so as I said, the bits of wood that would have been on the dash originally have actually been changed in this. This is the last bit that's remaining. I like it, viewers. I like a bit of wood in the interior, along with some beige leather. Lumbar support is on here on both the seats, which is good. Not much is changing here. Still got the terrible rear visibility. I must get those parking sensors fitted at some point, viewers. I almost crashed into a pole today. We've got whips in here, sips and whips. We've actually got side impact airbags and the bolster here of the seat, which is very safe. Because it was in 1999. That's pretty impressive, really. Right, let's have a look in the boot. It's probably full of stuff, but we'll just take a look in there anyway. Okay, we'll just pop the boot with this. You can also use the key fob, but we will use that. Huge amounts of space. A nice load liner here. There is a step in it towards the back, but as you can see, there is a ski hatch here, which got a dimmable boot light. That's interesting. I won't take any more stuff because, well, mine's exactly the same as this. So, yeah, won't bother too much about that. What we'll bother about is the engine, which I will just show you now. Now, I'll go and film the engine bay of mine in a second, viewers. But what's surprising about this is how different this car is, considering, you know, they're just 1 year apart. The cover of the engine is actually different. It doesn't have the same writing on it. This is different. The coolant reservoir and the power steering reservoir are actually different in this. This side of the engine is different. There's no distributor on this side of the engine. So yeah, it's actually got quite a few changes between the one to the cable throttle and the electronic throttle. Also, I gather this actually has a bit more power. It's closer to about 245 horsepower. Mine's about 237. So there is a little bit difference, and I gather actually these are more economical as well. Also, the dipstick location is slightly different. Mine, yeah, my dipstick tube is a bit loose, so I need to get that seen to at some point. Right, we will go and just take a look at my engine bay very quickly, just so you can see how different they are. As you can see, power steering fluid reservoir is different, coolant reservoir is different. That's dates back, I think, to the early 850s actually, that reservoir. It says 20 valve on top of it, that's different. Distributor is on here, that's also different. Dipstick location's different. I need to get this sorted out because that's a bit wobbly. You can get oil leaks on a T5 engine. The oil cooler can leak. The actual seals inside the turbo can leak and actually put oil into the intercooler, which isn't good. Mr. Hunter from Jeff Buys Cars, who is an expert on C70s and has had lots of P80 platform Volvos, recently had a problem with his T5 850 with the oil cooler leaking. That's about £600 to replace that. So you have to be careful. You also got to be careful of the PCV system when you're buying one of these cars. But you actually check when the engine's running to see if you've got the right amount of pressure. If I take this cap off, I'll show you how to check. I'm not going to run the engine, but I'll just check. I'll just show you what you do. If you put your hand over there, if it's got no sort of difference in pressure at all, that's fine. If your hand's being blown off, that's not good. If your hand is being sucked in, that's also actually fine. That's what it should be doing. These cars have a timing belt. You need to change it about every 5 years. I've just had mine done actually. And so is this car. This car's been done in 2022. It's best to use an original Volvo one or a Gates one, which is equivalent to it. Things like Dayco belts are not good. And it's really not a good idea to actually ignore that. You've got to keep the maintenance up on these cars because, well, if you have a failing turbo or something like that, that can be about the same price as the car to actually fix it. So just bear that in mind. Right, let's stop talking about engines and let's go for a little drive.
Straight away when driving this car, it's not nearly as intimidating as I thought it would be. It's kind of similar to mine in that respect, the automatic. You can drive this car just kind of like a 2-litre 20 valve 850 if you want to. You don't need to absolutely kind of thrash it. It's not nervous or twitchy or anything like that. It feels really normal. Just going over a speed bump. This doesn't have the firmer suspension. There was the sports and touring suspension they were marketed as on the C70s, and the GT models had the sports suspension as standard. This I think is just on a normal, they're called a touring suspension. Sorry, I shouldn't take two hands off the wheel, should have, that's very bad. Should have kept both hands on there at all times. That's a bit remiss of me, apologies viewers. Too excited as usual with these Volvos. But it feels a lot better. The balance of you know, ride comfort and handling, but this would be better for me. But the GT's all got that firmer suspension, so you know, never mind. It's just interesting to drive both of these, because when this car's done such high mileage, over 200,000, it feels remarkably tight actually. Gearbox feels good. Let's put the foot down a little bit. You don't get the same sense of immediacy that you do with the cable throttle. Although this car does supposedly have a little bit more power. The early T5s have 237. This supposedly is about 245. I can't say I notice a lot of difference. You know, because I'm not really revving it out too much. We'll go to a bit of faster road here and we'll see if it actually does feel fast. Yes, it does. You can feel the torque. The T5 was the original engine for this car, and in fact the car used in the same film is a T5. It's a T5 manual like this one. The other engine that came about a little bit after the car was launched was a 2.5 litre engine that was later renamed to 2.4, which is really weird. And normally aspirated version of that engine generated 168 horsepower, and that was relatively short-lived. It didn't survive, I think, beyond 2000. The turbocharged version, 193 horsepower, and then later 198 horsepower, I think, was closer to 200. That was actually renamed to a 2.4 for 1999, I think, somewhere between halfway through. I don't know why Volvo renamed all the 2.5 engines to 2.4 in 1999. It did the same on the V70s and S70s as well. I really don't know why, but it makes research more confusing. That's what it does. The smallest engine available in most markets for the C70 was the 2 litre turbo. That came in at about 2000. For most people that was about 163 horsepower, but for certain markets, I think Italy and some other places, there was also a 2 litre T5 which actually got a little bit more power than that standard 2 litre. The 2.3 wasn't sold in those markets. Most C70s didn't have a sort of model designation apart from the engine, but of course there was the GT, which was a car with the sportier setup and just a whole load of other options. That was basically what it was. And then on the cabrios, which lasted right up until the end of production of the first generation C70 in 2005, the coupes didn't make it beyond 2002. There was a collection variant, which was like a special edition. That was quite late on, I think 2003 or 2004. Certainly, this car does feel quite heavy. So does mine. They're not the best cars for really twisty roads like this. They do have good handling, but it's not the best handling I've ever come across in a car. I think in some ways my 45 V6, my Rover, actually has slightly better steering than this. The other problem is, of course, with these is the turning circle is really bad. It's not a problem you have on the 850s, and also the rear visibility is shocking. It's really, really poor. That's why I need some parking sensors. Anyway, that's enough fun for now. I suppose we better draw some conclusions about this lovely T5 manual C70.
Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below.
So viewers, the manual C70 T5 Coupé, is this a car that you should consider with your hard-earned budget at £1,000? Well, as Alex Kirsten from Auto Alex has recently demonstrated, you can pick up a T5 C70 Coupé for under £1,000 still. It will have a lot of problems, but you can. You know, mine's got problems, this has got problems. We paid a little bit more for ours than that. But they are one of the cheapest ways to have a performance car of all. There are issues, things like the windows not sealing properly, the sunroof not working. You can get rust on the rear of the chassis legs, the sills can rust as well. Mind you though, these cars are really not as prone to rust as most things of their era actually are. I forgot to say, I was wrong about these inserts on the dash and down here. They're not off a V70, they're actually off a very late first generation C70 convertible like the steering wheel is. I just wanted to correct that before you start writing things in the comments, which you might have already done. But yes, I've very much enjoyed myself, viewers. The electronic throttle can go a little bit wrong sometimes, and this one's actually been reprogrammed. The cable throttle cars might be seen as a little bit more desirable for that reason, but this is still one heck of a car. I've really enjoyed it. Anyway, thank you so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more inexpensive motoring.